So, firstly, Mahesh sir, welcome to Enda today. Tell me, Vikram was talking to us about how he calls you boss, and after that, everyone on his team calls you boss. His initials in the office also kind of has you dedicated to the B. Tell me, what do you remember of your first meeting with Vikram, and how has this journey evolved through the years?
Well, my memory of him is of his childhood when I was shooting my second film called Vishwas Bhatt in the 70s, early 70s, with the great Sanjeev Kumar in that exotic palace called the Bangalore Palace, now Bengaluru Palace. It was
Yeah.
Mysore, Maharaja of Mysore, one of the palaces. And they had started giving it out for shooting. And the splendor of that palace was quite seductive. So I remember we had gone to shoot for a film there called Vishwas Ghat because Sanjeev Kumar Saab was shooting for Sholay, the great iconic.
Okay. Absolutely.
Not me, and he said, I will shoot for Sholay in the daytime, and in the night, um, I will come and shoot with you till about 2 o'clock, and you can make your film. And that, in a way, made that film possible. So that's when Praveen Bhatt, Mr. Vikram Bhatt's father, happens to be the son of the great Vijay Bhatt, the man who made Ramraj.
Absolutely.
The only film that Gandhiji saw was one film, which was
Wow.
the film of Vikram Bhatt's grandfather. So we are not connected according to the bloodstreams, but I have a deeper relationship with Vikram's father. He has been my DOP for all my films, right from the beginning of my career. In fact, when I was just an amateur, I began my career at the age of 22, 23. 22
Right.
with Manzile Aur Bhi and I did not know the basic grammar of filmmaking, and I just had images in my head, and he helped me to learn it. He held my hand, Mr. Praveen Bhatt, and taught me like a brother would. And that became the foundation of the relationship. And Vikram would come with his father. His earliest memory was of him in some hotel in Nasik where I had shot the climax of Manjari Aur Bhi Hai, of me there. I remember Vikram during Vishwas Ghat time, walking with me in those huge gardens of the Bangalore Palace.
Right.
And his mother told me, do you know what he does, this kid? Well, I think barely 4 years old, 4, 5 years old. Then I said, what does he do? He says, he imitates you, he monkeys you. So, and he blushed. I remember he was being held by his mother. So I said, is that right? And he thought it wasn't right for him to imitate me in front of me.
Right.
Not monkey your elders, then they are not worthy of being called elders, right? So then he performed. Start sound, camera, action. I
Oh, wow.
was full of amateur, energy and enthusiasm, which kind of had trickled into his consciousness. And I think the seeds of our relationship were sown there.
Amazing, amazing. And because you guys have worked together in a lot of films, I wanted to ask you, because right now everyone keeps talking about how horror films, the core remains the same. There's maybe a temptation, there's a sin, and there's a betrayal, and then there's ghost. How do you kind of, when you are writing something, what are the challenges to make it something new?
See, it's not for no reason that the triangle has endured in the world of fiction since the dawn of time, because that is the mother of all fears of human relationships.
Yeah.
Human beings want exclusivity. And while your cultural constructs, which are hardwired in your body, in your mind, and your consciousness, which are also genetically transmitted to you, compel you to look at the whole world through the prism of that one construct, that is one man, one woman.
Yeah.
Beast, I would call him, quote unquote, has a sweet tooth to, or so for sex, right? So, like the great Bernard Shaw said, uh, that you you neutralize marriage and there will be no adultery, right? So the forbidden fruit has always been something that has layered the human heart. It dates back to the Garden of Eden, where the devil seduced Eve.
Right.
I think the despite of all the love and all your kind of memory bank that you create within a relationship, the tendency of the human heart is to gravitate. Women perhaps did it a little less because of the fear of being kind of stigmatized or of being looked upon and as depraved. But for men got away with it.
Yeah.
Away with it. So because of their power, because they ran the wheels of society, they were generating economically, they were sustaining the cults, the structures. So I think that will remain.
Yeah.
Triangle will remain. The idea is how do you look at the human triangle with a fresh gaze? The gardens can be the same in your backyard, right? When you go, don't find anything refreshing.
Yeah.
But if I go with my grandchild to the same garden, the garden looks like the most exotic place in the world. Then you rediscover the world. That's a small garden which you have looked for the nth time.
Right.
With child's eyes. So I think that's what a writer does. The writer looks at the human relationship. But the primary instinct of betrayal is the heartbeat of conflict.
Yeah.
No conflict, no story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No risk, no story.
And then you, yeah, and you actually spoke of a very interesting part about rediscovering it through maybe people you love. Tell me, as a filmmaker, when you had kids, did things change in you? Did you kind of have a different gaze when you were writing films? And now that you have a granddaughter?
I do look at the human narrative now with a different gaze. Yes, for instance, when I became a grandfather, I woke up to what the entire world has been feeling since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Oh, so this already the wonder of your child. Hardly have you recovered from the astounding achievements of your child, who is magical. And one more thing that dimension has been to her life is motherhood.
Absolutely.
And not only she is an astounding actor, but now she's also a mother. She's gone through an alchemical change. And then you have a gift from these guys come out of nowhere, awestruck. But to be brutally honest, the gaze then shifts towards the grandchild. uh, doting on her a little more than
Absolutely.
child. So
Yeah.
I think children have that kind of power, draw you in completely.
Yes. I'll tell you a small story, Mahesh sir. As kids, all of us cousins would come together and we would reenact the entire Junoon film. So one of us would be that everyone had a different character. That's like our cousin's core memory that we share, because everyone used to always play Junoon Junoon. That was our favorite game as kids. I've always wondered, like, now what about your family? Like, did your kids also reenact your films?
My family was not neither in my home. Uh, there was kind of I mean, there was never kind of revering your films that you have created uh, and looked upon as something to be in awe of, No, I think
No.
I was a filmmaker because I had to make a living. I never thought of myself as a filmmaker. I said, look, I have to make a living. And
Right.
filmmaking is what I learned because I was a very bad student. Couldn't get a job anywhere. And my mother told at the age of 15, 16, पैसे लेके आना नहीं तो घर वापस नहीं आना. So from my very young days, I've been fending for myself.
Yeah.
One thing I had was the ability to put images and sounds together and tell stories. And so I think that is the wealth that even in our nation, there is a huge
Yeah.
Untapped resources that we have of the pre-literate society, which has been, the oral tradition of telling stories through, of using your body and using your sound, the tone and tenor of your voice, singing and telling stories, not through the written word.
Yeah.
I think I had that primal instinct to tell stories.
Amazing. Amazing. But which is Alia's favorite film of yours? Or especially horror, maybe?
Well, I think I must say that Alia's most favorite film. I think I was devastated by Urta Punjab.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
couldn't understand when did this girl, who was a Juhu girl and was exposed to our home, where we have a non-film kind of environment because we don't have
Right.
the kind of usual cinema kind of tradition of we're just another normal family.
Absolutely.
So she's Jew girl. How did she get that accent right of of an Adivasi from from Chhattisgarh?
Yes. Absolutely.
Amazing. And I
Yeah.
was astounded by that, her raw power and the ability to get into such a vulnerable place and bare her heart. And that's when
Absolutely.
Highway and
Yeah. Kurta Punjab, of course.
she suddenly there was a departure from that girl who was just a mannequin in a student of the year. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but I think I woke up to, like you see your own grandchild first utter the first word and then begin to crawl and then stand up and you see the evolution in your child also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And although there's a lot of time, but which is your film that you want Raha to see first? Like which film?
Well, if you ask me the movie I would like Raha to watch of mine would be when she grows up into a young girl and when she turns sweet 16, is to watch a film called Dil Hai Ka Manta Nahi.
Absolutely.
It's the most heartwarming film where Pooja was out the world. Amir was very good. It was a film that had the resonance of the human heart. And
Absolutely.
I think a tale like that would be the right one that I would.
Yeah. And you can also make her watch Hame Rahi Pyar Ke.
Yes, of course. That's also a film. I would say
Yes.
Hame Rahi Pyar Ke is a different kind of a love story, but a quote-unquote love story.
Yeah.
Dil Hai Ka
Absolutely.
Manta Nahi.
Absolutely. And I mean, Mahesh sir, of course, because horror, especially, it adds much more value when you are in a dark theater watching it alone on a big screen. When you were writing Bloody Ishq, was there something that you had in mind to make sure that people, maybe watching on their phone, also feel that jump scare?
Well, according to me, we live in such times that the smartphone is the window through which your so-called mega content will be consumed, because the sanctity of the cinema hall seems to have ebbed, right?
Yeah.
There are people who want the experience of the white screen and the darkness of the cinema hall and uh, through participation to enjoy tentpole film. However, uh, I personally feel that now there's right from your security man who's sitting at your door
Hmm.
to the homes, youngsters who are traveling by the locals, uh, or they're traveling in an auto rickshaw in Mumbai, or people in their cars, they're consuming content on their smartphone.
Yeah.
There is, apart from the spectacle and the razzmatazz that you uh, promise them and the acoustics, what essentially connects with them is,
Hmm.
is the story.
Yeah.
And the most challenging thing, Sana, is to find a character which the audience can empathize with.
Hmm.
That is, we've got a girl, very, very, very brilliantly played by Avika Gor.
Okay. Yeah.
She is who has, you begin with her who has in a condition where she lost her memory and she gets into a very, very hostile space. Though apparently it's a beautiful castle in an island where she should be absolutely safe, and she is in she has got the arms of her the most loving person, her husband, who loves her, dotes on her. But
Yeah.
that space is vitiated. She doesn't quite know whether the guy is what he is projecting himself to be.
Right.
And then, of course, one of the fears that we all have in the 21st century, second decade, is of losing connectivity. If you say that, oh, I don't have signal, and you feel you have been amputated from life. It's an
Absolutely.
island where she doesn't have connectivity. She can only get connection at certain parts of the island for which she has to walk a long way. So I think that kind of an isolation of the geographical isolation plus the inner uh, distance that she starts feeling with her most intimate person, and she feels that something is there between in that space, and the walls are reeking with the echoes of traumatized yesterdays.
Yeah.
So that's
Amazing.
it breaks up to uh, the astounding truths that we find out about our near and dear ones.
Hmm.
Because, we wake up to people. Sometimes we wake up and see that they are bigger than what we thought they are. They astound you with their largeness,
Yeah.
which we are incapable of. Or you find that somebody you thought was a giant or was the most immaculately, had the immaculate heart, is a demon, or has very ugly
Yeah.
attributes. So these are the kind of journeys
Amazing.
which I think have been shadowing man since the dawn of time. And that's Bloody Ishq lives.
Absolutely. And recently, Ajay spoke about how he signed Zakham while he was taking a shower. You called him up and he just said, "Ki main kar dunga." Tell me, Amay sir, because right now we have managers, agencies around actors. Is that accessibility with actors still the same when it comes to directors and filmmakers?
No, I don't think. I think it depends on the unique relationship that uh, the maker has with a particular actor. There was a run up to that call I made. Uh, and the very fact that I could get through to him was because of that unique run up that we had. His father and me began a journey together. I was an assistant, uh, and his father was an assistant action director in a film called Mera Gaon Mera Desh, which was made by my boss, Raj Khosla. And it was he who told me, why don't you take my son? And once he works with you, he'll become an actor. He's a star. I mean, he had become a star with his first film. But his father was intelligent enough to see that he needed to be looked upon with eyes which have, have a different kind of inner gaze. You can see
Yeah.
him. And I remember I heard the story, and I remember the first time I saw him, he was crossing the street um, near Chandan Cinema in Juhu, and I stopped the car, and he had just crossed, and I called him, and he came, and there was a silence in his eyes, which I saw. He was, of course, a little bewildered that Mahesh Bhatt had stopped. I said, I spoke to your father, and he wants me to work with you, and we will someday work together. And he looked at me, and he knew that I meant it. And I saw in his eyes that he knew that I would one day knock at his door. And then I went to him with a film called Najais, which was reasonably successful, where I put him opposite the great Nasiruddin Shah.
Absolutely.
He was very intimidated at the thought of living up to him. But I said, look, I feel you can do it. And even Nasir Bhai confessed that it's Ajay that he astounded him with his performance in Najais.
Wow.
Not with it's not been acknowledged as one of his very good performances, but he was very good in that film. But then I was doing what I call the autobiographical film of mine, which was
that more fast.
Film that I was doing as a director. I just thought of him and I called him. And, I think because of the emotional equity we had, it was, and the instinctive trust, and trust is the major. An actor is the most vulnerable creature,
Absolutely.
Like the director's heart has to be like a mother's womb, and he must create an environment where the actor feels that he can be safe. And that was what perhaps Ajay felt.
Yeah.
And that's why that memory echoes even today through the mist of time.
Absolutely. And lastly, tell me, Mahesh sir, we're running short of time, so I'll just wrap it up. There are a number of films, of course, that you can name, but if you have to pick one film that kind of changed your life, which one would that be?
My life as a viewer?
As a person, maybe.
I can't say a movie changed my life, but one of the greatest films I think I have seen, which has not only influenced me, but has influenced filmmakers all over the world, is Dr. Zhivago by David Lean.
Yeah.
Based on the great work of Boris Pasternak. It's the background of the Russian Revolution, but it's the most intimate love story. And again, there is a triangle there. And it's a story of unrequited love.
Yeah.
And it kind of has the arc of generations. And I think the enduring impact of that film still lingers. And introduced my heart, young heart. I was very young. I remember going with my Pooja's mother to watch that film, the Strand Cinema in Mumbai. And I remember that, the Lara's theme. And I said, oh my God, you can make a film which has a huge canvas.
Yeah.
Has the most vulnerable and intimate moments.
Yeah.
That's what cinema seems to be losing. In the darkness of the cinema hall, there were moments where human beings confessed their frailties, their vulnerabilities, and to each other shared their wounds. And the spectacle and the largeness of the canvas receded into the background.
Yeah.
Can't be a greater landscape than the human
spirit.
Yeah. There can't be a deeper ocean than the human heart.
Absolutely.
That's what Zhivago did to me.
Yeah. I wanted you to pick one of your films, but this was so beautiful.
My film, no. So, somebody asked Kurosawa, the great Akira Kurosawa, this question, which is your best film? So he says, 1 minute from this film, 2 minutes from this film.
Right.
If I thought I succeed in putting together 5 minutes, I would be happy. A director normally is not very happy when he reflects about his
Yeah.
work. But there are innumerable movies. But I think there was a movie called Janam, which was shown. It was the first movie that was made for the Reliance Group. It was shown on television. It was the biggest cinema hall of that time on Doordarshan.
Okay.
And that was the first time when I think the news was deferred for almost 13 hours because it was launching the woven fabric of the Reliance Group. And it was autobiographical and was produced by Doordarshan and me.
Amazing.
And that was one of my the simplest film made at a shoestring budget. So, but minimalist form, architecture of the human heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And when are you wearing the director's hat once again?
I want to say on record, I'm an extinct volcano.
Oh.
I've exploded, but the lava that has emanated from my soul has kind of nourished the soil around me. When fresh life blooms, I love to watch my prodigies come into their own and become what they become. Like Vikram Bhatt astounds me by his ability to reinvent himself. I wake up to other people who are in my fold coming into their own. And I love making people touch their potential. Like a good gardener succeeds only when the seeds bloom to their fullest.
Absolutely.
That's what his dharma is, and that's what I enjoy the most.
Amazing. Great day. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for all the movies. It's such a special part of our lives.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.